and archive. They would attack. Okay, you're with Michael Crosby. I'm a gubernatorial candidate, and I'm actually continuing gubernatorial candidate. What these people done in previous elections is they have attacked and archived. They would attack. Okay, you're with Michael Crosby. I'm a gubernatorial candidate, and I'm actually continuing gubernatorial candidate. What these people done in previous elections is they have attacked and archived. They would attack. Okay, you're with Michael Crosby. I'm a gubernatorial candidate, and I'm actually continuing gubernatorial candidate. What these people done in previous elections is they have attacked and archived. They would attack. Okay, you're with Michael Crosby. I'm a gubernatorial candidate, and I'm actually continuing gubernatorial candidate. What these people done in previous elections is they have attacked and archived. They would attack.
We intentionally ran him over.
What agency?
Kern County Sheriff's Office. We intentionally ran.
What agency?
Kern County Sheriff's Office. We intentionally ran him over. We ran him over.
What agency?
Kern. We intentionally ran him over.
What agency?
Kern County Sheriff's Office. We Kern County Sheriff's Office. We intentionally ran him over.
What agency?
We intentionally ran him over.
What agency?
Kern County Sheriff's Office.
Teaching kids, we have to teach kids how to use this demographic software. Now, what we're teaching kids right here is in yellow, you have the areas that are regulated, and it's a certain regulated reading. So we're getting them on board with understanding the basic color scheming of how to see things as you look at, basically new taxes that are coming in that area per person. And the taxes basically are going to increase by $40 per person per day, $40. But the problem is, these people only have $15, which means it's impossible for them to pay these taxes. So what we have are taxes that are so high, they're killing people. They're literally taxing people.
We intentionally ran him over.
A man suspected of killing the Tulare County Sheriff's
Enforcement officers escorted the deputy's body to the Tulare County Coroner's Office.
wanted him in the club. They gave him all this stuff, drop it off here, take a look at it. And at first it's like, oh, this is interesting. It's a business connection kit. If you can imagine a directory, imagine like the Donnelly directory. Now imagine like they got some of these really thick directories. You got like Oprah Winfrey and all these other different people. They're in the directory. Okay, it's a special number directly, and it's got certain people's phone numbers and this and that. And they're like $600 and $1,200 or more to buy one of those directories. Expensive directory. Okay, but this is a bit more. It gives you a bit more of an option here. So he understood more about how this whole thing worked. People in the government were very happy. They were going to photograph all this, have nice long talks as he explained things. So one of the really big items is the one that just totally flipped out my great-great-grandfather on the grandmother's side. The other one's on the other side, predate the Constitution. Anyway, is the fact that they wanted him to obtain all medals. And then literally you end up with the message that says, we want you to buy all the medals. We will make whatever deal you need because we want it. You need money, whatever you need. You need a bunch of drugs, wholesale, whatever you need. We want you to go to the churches. We want you to buy all the church bells. We don't care what the price is. It's not about the price. It's about the metal. We have to have the metal. We'll pay vast sums of money for it. And at that moment, he realized what was going on. He realized that the only real reason to need to buy every medal, and even buy the church bells, dealt with people who had a plan to literally bring mass darkness all over Europe. And that's when he gathered some of the immediate families members together and says, we need to leave the country now. And I'm like, what? No, it's going to be fine. He said, no, you don't understand who these people are, what they're involved in, and what they're planning. We need to leave now. I'll pay for your passage across. Just take your deeds with you. Fill your steamer trunks up with what's crucial or worth money, and leave the rest behind. Leave the rest behind, and we can have somebody rent out the properties and this, that, and everything. And they didn't want to go, so he ends up leaving with his wife and daughter, and comes to America. And then
We intentionally ran him over.
What agency?
The Kern County Sheriff's Office.
What agency?
The Kern County Sheriff's Office.
Criminology. Understand the negative effects. Criminology. Understand the negative effects.
The Kern County Sheriff's Office. We intentionally ran him over.
Our governor have completely failed in that nothing was happening in the beginning. It was allowed to spiral out of control. Our governor have completely failed in that nothing was happening in the beginning. It was allowed.
So what we have here is a situation basically that involves evidence, and this is something that is crucially important. Here it is basically in black and white, right? And a little bit of red, yeah. Drone swarm threats, 2015, 300. By 2017, 3,000. 10,000 by 2020, 100 plus thousand. We now have what seems to be basically over 5 million drones used in warfare up to date, people. Wow, what does this mean? This means we have exponential threat growth. Well, hello there, people. Yes, you're with billionaire Gubernatorial Michael Crosby. I have spent many, many years researching. We have discovered we have true core logic and acceptance systems, online retrieving data, ongoing. They've been doing it for more than 30 days. We are hereby aligning and showing you the bad actors that have been identified in demographic weaponization. These people have killed a lot of people. They've committed genocide in the course of their plans, and they knew what they were doing. They knew that people were going to die when they instigated the plan. It's the new system patch. Fix corruption. Yeah, buddy. Michael Crosby for Governor.
Ideas to build. We have been conditioned to believe that buildings take 5 years to build. It takes 90 days or less to build a house. Ideas to build.
Look, before I was running, these people lied to you. They lied. They've attacked the voter tooling. Those are major crimes. More than 10 million felonies, people. Okay, look. I wanted to do commemorative silver coins, make the state hundreds of billions of dollars. The buy-in would have began about $18 an ounce. Now, recently it went to a whopping $120 an ounce. Basically, people, when it got to about $80, the state would have made hundreds of billions of dollars, and the people purchasing those items would have had a chance to cash out and make $1.2 trillion in profit. So basically, people, it's very important to understand
that you're getting a second chance. Look, Landstock, good.
Good.
Now, utilizing the book of mass economic destabilization, not a good thing, bad. Okay, so people, Landstock, good, very good. Economics, yes, we're not looking so good, but if we go with my plan, oh boy, yes, Mike's plan. Oh. People, reliving history may not be a good thing. Pick up the phone. They have destroyed an entire fleet of voter tools. Major felony. Pick up the phone.
Michael Crosby here again. Now, I'm continuing with an understanding here. You are walking around with the marks in your constitutionalism. This is the all-citizen type of thing, unless, of course, you are not loyal to colonial constitutional capitalism. As I walk into various places, wherever the location is, if you're in a university, I come and I tell you, you people are all the enemy. You are the enemies of this nation. You are the despicable pieces of mind controlism that are destroying children's lives. You are Manchurianized robots. You are literally part of a mechanism that is devoted to mass destruction. You are the enemy of humanity. And now that I've got your attention, I'm going to prove it. The reasons are actually quite simple. All of you have either missed it or you've taken the mark. You have read Karl Marx and you sucked him right into your brain and you walk around and it's blatantly obvious to us that you are walking around with the marks in your head. You are something that people talked about. We were warned about you people thousands of years ago. You are the mathematical culmination of things that are diabolical to the forces of life itself. You're complete and utter failures. You have missed the entire understanding of the Royal German Empire, of what it did. There's spy departments. There's specialized divisions, those special buildings that nobody knew about. Those tactical tables running, inventing things. All of those papers, satchels, running back and forth, helping people cram their heads full of all kinds of information. the true, real beginning of weaponization of data. And you people have all missed it. You all are part of the problem. Your minds are poisoned. You're tainted. You are members of a cult that has no excuse to live. Now, I am the purity of all that is good of capitalism. I stand for decent, moral, colonial beliefs. I am into the expansionism because I believe that you are supposed to be capitalists, that you're supposed to breed and have children. You're supposed to make wonderful lives for them and show them how to enrich themselves, giving them the ultimate, maximum opportunities to ride the outside of the envelope of success. You people are the vast incompetent ones who miss the greatest opportunity to understand certain types of data and how you can reverse check it. How you can look at documents and figure out how to de-evolutionize. Yes, is that based upon the understanding that documents evolve? Of course it is. So you can look at what you do find and you can de-evolve it to fill your gaps. Most of you are vastly incompetent in being able to compute the true nature of the entire question of historical catastrophes. As you are complete and utter failures in computing the understanding of various emergencies, you miss the total scope of the size of the entire device, the mechanisms. You seem to understand nothing about what the total device of master puppeting is, what it's all about, who the players are. You see nothing of the true depth of all the betrayals, the deliberate entrapments, the business of selling your own people, as you are just another cog in a big, great mechanism. All these fantastic fragments in history, and you just can't put your brain around it the right way and see the size and scope of the true master puppeting scheme. You've completely failed to do anything close to charting the total scope of the eras as master puppeting has continued throughout history. Most of you don't have a clue how to coordinate the difference between blood and death versus charting the weaponization of data and how it is a crucial role with respect to master puppeting. You've been complete failures in understanding the true nature of data, of fragments, how to wrap your head around it. And you have been enormously cruel at the few people who have found fragments. You have not justified their hard work and rewarded them properly. The true master understanding of the mass weaponization of data, all of the deception and the blood, the pain, the suffering connected to it. You falsely think that somehow you are masters of the rise and understanding of the statistical state management systems, and you continue forward to bring havoc and death. Literally, most of you wouldn't have a clue how to compute the origin of data weaponization if your life literally depended on it.
few of you could possibly understand the differences between natural communalism versus people that were jealous and evil, that decided to steal all the data and look at the symmetry of anything that had a tendency of goodness, and then use it, harness it for evil. Again, there's a huge misunderstanding as people literally are afraid to accept the truth because your brains will go haywire. You'll commit suicide. You'll become violent. The entire matrix of your mind will be ripped apart because you are a rhetoric robot. Many of you are so diabolically opposed that if I show this image to you, you are immediately either conspiring to circumvent and destroy the justice system, or use it in a new sales pitch to take advantage, to fill your wallets, to destroy lives, or to create slavery in good service. Many of you, you're going to rent them out. This is part of law. It's part of the original evidence. It's part of the agreements. If you don't believe that, there's something wrong with your brain. You've been mind controlled. Somebody has screwed you. The sheer basic fact that you're here today, you had to come to school. The true core productivity comparison is big. Law and evidence. The original agreements, the guarantee to the mechanism, so that we can permanently have unlimited access to the United States Treasury. That was the deal. All these people are elected representatives. These are servants of ours. We are capitalists. We are that which owns. But we paused the recording. If not, I'll give you one more chance. Pause the recording.
It is, you know, you got people. Let's look at the math of the taxable table here. Okay, let's say I'm in front of the court. Okay, I've done the samples basically, so you'll be able to basically take the recording and go through it. You'll be able to go through it and look at it. And pay close attention to the number of views and count those. And then you can sit down and take a pad and paper and make notes as to which statements are said, and understand how there are these key mark points and how things are identified. How things are identified for algorithm handling. So when we start at the beginning, you see the pauses that occur. That's because the system has a lot of people that are uploading at certain times of the day, which means that the system is backlogged because it's connected to other special servers to be able to do certain types of algorithmic assessment, such as who you are. If it seems like it has an indicator of who you are, you get activity that's going to happen now, say. And if you got these other different key mark points, there's literally, thousands of words and phrases that key off certain things that are of high importance. And this is where you have the blacklisting. This is where you have the determination of people doing certain things. This is where you no longer have the free, unimpeded passing of information. So what you end up with is a situation where basically you have people, once again, being blacklisted. So I wanted to show you some samples so you could see how it happens, because they'll also vary it. It can vary due to certain times of the day. And there are certain times and durations where it's not about whether or not people are deciding what they want to see. It's about whether or not somebody else has decided in rooms in a building to blacklist you and your life. And this includes elections. So what you just saw here deals with major election rigging. What you just saw here is a sample of how people are involved in treason, literally, interfering in the processes of elections, stealing elections. This is something that's very important because we're collecting evidence at this point. I technically have enough evidence to lay the reason to believe to raid a whole lot of buildings at this point in time. And that's exactly what's getting ready to happen. There's going to be a whole lot of buildings that get raided and shut down. There's going to be a lot of custodies, a whole lot of custodies, because of what people have been doing. Because there's also more to this. When you start to identify the various types of understanding, all of a sudden you start noticing things, and you do different testing, different confronting, and you can look at different tendencies. And you'll notice that if you're going to say something negative against communists, for the most part, they're going to blacklist people that are going to say things negative against socialism and communism. And how does this happen? This happens usually by order of the government. The government, California, Biden administration, stuff like that. So when we have transference, we now have the Trump administration, they're going through stuff. They're looking for stuff. They're turning stuff off. There's some people that just naturally know. They understand, oh, we had a transition, and they're going to deactivate some stuff. They're going to change some stuff. So here we have different players at different levels. And when we're talking about California, California has a special blacklisting algorithmic building. It's a ghost entity. It's a ghost entity. They do cyber attacks on people's phones. They attack people's businesses. It's an economic warfare device. They'll destroy people's lives, people's businesses. It's part of a weapon system that the state of California uses on citizens in violation of the Constitution of the United States. Literally. And this is where, when we understand that people talk about the majority long-term Democratic rule in California, and then you actually have a lot of Democrats screaming, going, what is all this ultra-liberal stuff? It's just like all of a sudden went from this little tiny part of the party to grabbing a hold of control and exerting control, yet there's no majority voting of Democrats who would want this. You know, going into the last presidential election cycle, you had well over 60% of Democrats who actually didn't want liberals to be part of the Democratic Party. They wanted some of these people gone, you know, and at that time it was identifying at 7 to 13% variance. And the majority of Democrats wanted them gone, yet some of them were tolerant. So when you understand this, and now all of a sudden you have people going, what's going on? We have areas where all of a sudden, how is it that the minority liberal factions that associate with terrorists and associate with socialism, communism, Marxism, all of a sudden are in charge? Well, what's going on here? It's deeper, and it's more than just saying that. You're at first stage realization. It goes far beyond that. You have to understand more depth of what some of these people have done. You got a lot of people sitting there trying to explain stuff that's going on. You actually have a few candidates. I mean, at this point, in some ways, you have a bit of an anomaly when you look, for instance, look at Chad Bianco to see how many people are embracing some of the stuff that he's saying, because some of the stuff he's saying is more than brushstroke. It is getting way more specific as to which players are doing which things and how they're doing it. And there's a lot more to it. So Chad, if you look through what I was showing you, even Chad has algorithmic discrimination being used on him. So you have other people that are getting boosted. Other people getting boosted. A clear understanding of one of the tricks is I showed you the basically law enforcement trick. See, in order to try to justify blacklisting people, what they do is they'll say, oh, well, we want you to boost law enforcement. Just keep boosting law enforcement. Yeah, boost it, And it's like, because old people feel comfortable. Old people feel very comfortable when they see items involving law enforcement apparently resolving something. And this business about the ambulance chasing and everybody wants to see certain things, there is a little bit of truth to that. So you do have an understanding that people with businesses are trying to sell their products, but then again, at what cost? See, the free, unimpeded passing of information on the web is a very, very serious law. You have many companies getting fined repeatedly by the federal government. They keep getting caught breaking the law. So it's important to understand where are the set points on this? What are the variances? How does the math actually work on this? And once again, you can go through the recording from the beginning to understand numbers and see when you get the super false boosting, because there's only a certain number of people that are available to look at information. And if you're putting the false boost in, in the beginning of this, I'm showing you where basically there's well over 3,000 boosts out there, basically to 3,000 to like 4, 5 views. So when you're outnumbered 1,000, in the territory of basically 1,000 to 1 in many instances at any given time, and it's worse in some areas, by the way. It's worse. There are other examples that are mind-boggling. This means that choices have to be made, so they're going to flood through the door. Imagine if you're in line at a nightclub, and you want to get in the nightclub. And all of a sudden, you've been in line, you're doing everything the right way, and then all of a sudden, some people start arriving late. And they start letting them in the door. And then somebody comes in and says, hey, well, I'm here to represent a certain other person. They're not here now, but I'm going to run around with a sign playing a video. Oh, yeah, come on in the door. And meanwhile, they're stopping you from getting in the door so you can communicate with people. Now, imagine that you've already paid for your ticket to get in the door, and you can't enjoy yourself, you can't meet people, you can't do commerce, you can't shake hands, you can't get anything done because you keep getting pushed back. It says, no, it's not ready for you to go out. No, it's not ready for you to go out. We're going to let these other people through first. So now you have pushes. People are having information pushed on them constantly, just pushed. And so if you want to blacklist people, you just invent a series of pushes that are drowning people to death in pushes. And therefore, they're constantly distracted, and they can't get to even think. They're being distracted in their heads. They can't even get to think. They can't even get to what they want. And it gets worse. When you get to the point where you have other types of discrimination, people go to type in something they're told, like they meet a candidate to begin with, and they have a sheet of paper or a business card. They go to type it in, and guess what? It says you don't exist. I've got videos that show that one too, on how that occurs, where you don't exist. So you have people, for instance, the smaller candidates, many of the smaller candidates would walk around and hand out flyers or business cards And in many cases, a lot of people would literally grab their cell phone, type their name in and go, wow, they don't have a website, or wow, they don't have a YouTube. And, so it's hard, it doesn't work. So it's problematic. And in other cases, you get there, but I'm going to tell you there's other discrimination factors. So when you're working with math and you're going to do over pushes, what's happening is you're drowning the public in false issues, in false ideas, using up all of their time so they can't spend more time being investigative voters, investigating things to find things out. So this is, again, one of the other methods. And you have some people where, like I showed you this in the one item, the name, this is measuring the name, all this stuff. You'll see the stops happen. That's because it's at a point in time of the day where basically there's a high volume happening, and the computer that makes the decision to identify the biorhythm of certain types of information is not available. It's overloaded. So you literally have candidates being blacklisted, and it goes far further than some of these other techniques. There's many, many techniques straight out being blacklisted. And there's reverse blacklisting. You stop the candidate from getting access outward, but then you also stop people from getting a proper list. Like in between elections, for instance, you have people who have basically declared they're ready for office, but you can't do paperwork yet. There is no paperwork available. These are declared candidates, but there is no paperwork to do. There's no way to determine who actually is the apparent official listed candidates. Not there yet. But the algorithms are already arranging and blacklisting people. So when you have continuing candidates, they're being blacklisted. This means that this system, which started up, it used to not be so bad. You had ways around it. You did all these special tags and all these things. So when I was running against Jerry Brown, basically the Jerry Brown's people contacted Google literally and complained because I was ranked number 2 behind him according to web statistics, because I had more websites, I had more, more I's dotted, more T's crossed. So then I get a notice from Google that says, well, this is what happened and we have to comply and da-da-da-da. Basically, they were partially lying to me. But they says, yeah, we have to redo the way that all the algorithms work. Redo it means they had to blacklist me. They had to blacklist me. So I spent this huge investment to make sure that I do everything the right way. And then they just straight out are saying, no, we're just going to blacklist you in favor of somebody else who hasn't done things the right way, who hasn't followed whatever these rules are. Now, notwithstanding whether you agree with those rules to begin with, straight out, this is the era of when California began the enormous amount of blacklisting. It comes in during Jerry Brown, basically. And is when this thing starts coming in, is the last era, just before Jerry Brown, and then as Jerry Brown got elected for his 3rd term. So here we have Democratic members of the Democratic Party straight out deciding what you get to hear and listen to. And they're blacklisting it. Yet what they're going to say publicly is something completely different. So they're lying to you specifically about all kinds of things. Now, when you see the phones going haywire, those are cyber attacks. It's another style of attack. So there's this array of different mechanisms and ways to basically shut people down. And many of them are state-sponsored. They literally connect to secret buildings that the government has, and they are manipulating things. So when you also go through the ordered algorithmic governance, California has an algorithmic governance allowance, and they force certain types of what they call non-discrimination, which means that they order the companies to say, well, we want to make sure that you're not discriminating against socialist and communist and Marxist, so you have to give them extra bonus points. This means that they're going to blacklist people who are trying to put out truthful historic information. And they're just going to lie. They're going to say, oh, we're trying to stop hate. No, that doesn't have anything about it, because these people are in bed with utilizing educational developed governance technologies that are foreign instruments, that are literally diabolically opposed to the Constitution of the United States. So you have these people that have basically seeped into law. We have a huge problem. Easily a third of our judges, I'm going to tell you, need to be removed. And the flip side of the coin is a third of our judges are good and actually know and understand about certain barriers and educational understandings and constitutional alignments. They know they're good judges. But we have a third of judges that are bad judges. And then you've got that in-between quasi area. You're not quite sure where those judges are going to fit or go. So we have these situations now. And with me, when I come under attack in different ways, violent attacks, financial discrimination, attacks on my bank so I can't do banking. I mean, you would not believe the vast array of things that have happened in the course of continuously running as a candidate. So these parties are doing things. They're generating false reports. So I've talked with a lot of different people. I even talked with Mueller's team. I talked with a lot of different people in different teams. You have a lot of different teams, a lot of different players. And you get to the point where you have FBI agents telling you we've investigated this, it's actionable, but our bosses just came up and ordered us to drop everything, drop all the cases. And I'm like, we have evidence that these people have attacked archives, major felony violations, attacks on candidates, archives, and their bosses order them not to prosecute, not to protect the process of elections. This goes on and on. So it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, year after year, decade after decade. So now we have the situation where there's so much evidence that you have Rob Bonta and many of these characters. These people get nervous. You'll see them. Pay attention to what they look like sometimes. They're very nervous. And the reason they're very nervous is they know they've done bad things. And they know there's people out there that have gathered evidence against them. They know that literally it's like they're rolling dice. At any minute, people can come in and swoop on them and arrest them and take them away. And that'll be the end of the rest of their career. Probably free, in some cases, the rest of them seeing freedom for the rest of their life. That's where we're basically at right now, people. I'm truly telling you, this is where we're basically at. So when you have people like me, they blacklisted all my income. They ordered all the businesses shut down. Oh, it's COVID. No, they use COVID like a weapon. They destroy more than 1 million people's businesses intentionally in COVID. Intentionally. And I'm a candidate running for office. I'm an archive. I'm an omnibus. Part of the archive is a museum of rare historical documents, some of which pertain to law, pertain to religion, pertain to all kinds of science and all these different things. So there's old stuff, there's new stuff, there's custom research, there's one of a kind. There's a lot of one of a kind, very rare stuff. We're talking, this is at a level when you attack something like that, it's crimes against humanity. This is what these people have involved themselves in. Crimes against humanity. So the damage just from the COVID sequence, we can't even compute it all. We know we need to do a certain amount of investigative retrieval and utilize satellite technology, SAR, and all this other stuff. The minimum amount of damage we've computed, we haven't figured all the patents and copyrights. We're not figuring the patents and copyrights. It's a different story. Just replacing the data, just dealing with the legal cost and the other various costs and restoring the voter tooling, computer stuff, and all this other stuff, and archive data, $5.9 billion. And by election day, it's going to be over $6 billion in damage. Minimum. This is who these people are. Repeatedly, we're talking literally more than 10 million violations because there's other people connected to the archive. There's other people connected to the archive. We're talking legal research, respective to people's lives. They're attacking legal research because it's evidence against them. It's evidence against them in things that they have done that are wrong. It's evidence against them that can put them in prison. Evidence like they're taking money from foreign actors. They're doing business and they're utilizing and installing different types of governance practices that are diabolically opposing the Constitution of the United States. They're literally involved in treason. They're literally repeatedly attacking the Constitution of the United States. But when you get to archive research, we got that area of actionable evidence, actual evidence that makes everything actionable. So here we have all these things that these people say, and a lot of these policies that they wrote are confessions. Works out to a confession. Well, that's a treason confession. You know, your point is that you're disqualifying the Constitution and what you're supposed to do with the policy. You can't do that. That means you just confess to dereliction of duty. That's treason. You're screwed. And then, oh, by the way, you're not protecting elections. You're not protecting archivers. You're not protecting archives. You're not protecting evidence. You're not protecting national security. What are you doing? Then you have to ask, well, what are you doing? So you have a whole different symmetry of what you see people involving themselves in. You know, you can sit there and go, okay, let's work it out like it's an omnibus spherical understanding, and let's actually measure what it is they are, what it is they stand for. And you'll find out it's not the Constitution of the United States. The symmetry keeps IDing with socialism, communism, Marxism, all of which have been sworn diabolically opposing to the Constitution of the United States. We fought two great wars with the World German Empire. They deliberately created those mechanisms. So I show you this so you're going to be able to have something to work with and understand, and I add more to it than I need because somebody might be just getting an introduction into the material and not really understand how and why it's important. So there's your data. There's your data showing you certain information beyond the shadow of a doubt, illegal, algorithmic discrimination interfering with the process of elections against an archiver, and against other candidates. I included a little bit of stuff there on CHAD. I did a few experiments on CHAD. There's other devices I used and did experiments respective to how CHAD's being discriminated against as well. But beyond the shadow of a doubt, you can look at those numbers. You can understand how they're working the algorithms and what they're doing, how they're making determinations and deciding who's who and how they're going to blacklist people. I want to thank you very much. Michael Crosby. Yes, I'm running for governor, California, and yes, I've been running before, and these people have done billions of dollars in damage, and those are article violations, and they will not do their job. They've overthrown most of the justice system. They will not do their job. You can't get a case prosecuted because we have Rob Bonta that keeps shutting everything down. So when you have an anomaly step up, like Chad Bianco, and say, well, this is my district, I'm elected, and I'm the sheriff, and I have reason to believe that this is clear evidence. You know, so Mike, what's your opinion? I absolutely agree. Plus, it's in my interest because I have things in that district as well. I have holdings in that district, holdings that have never negatively been affected, tax. I have all kinds of evidence about violence that have happened in Riverside, in that district. It's of key importance. You know, but you have to remember, people, well, you just go to court. No, you don't just go to court. Let me tell you what happens when you go to court. I know a whole lot of people that have gone to court. Court doesn't always work so well. You can go to court, and they come up to you, and they say, stop your lawsuit, boy. Oh, we're inventing. They'll just invent some law. They'll just invent complete and utter bullshit and arrest you falsely. You know, and tell you you have an attitude problem. Yeah, you got a mouth and an attitude problem. You understand what's going on now? So what is that? That's people coercing you. See, so you have to try to be lucky and make sure that you don't run into the wrong sort. Because, by the way, there's other people that are on a different sort. Do never think that for one moment that all cops are the same. Heck, no, they're not. Oh, no. They way different, buddy. Let me tell you. Way different. The percentages in different areas of political alignments are way different. And by the way, a lot of them have changed over the years. Significantly changed. There's been so many changes, it's mind-boggling. It would take you 6 months to go through and read the highlights of all the changes that have occurred in the last 25 years. Easy. Easy. So there's your base data. Michael Crosby for governor. And yep, I'm going to be putting a claim in again. But again, the judges don't want to allow the cases into court. They want to disqualify evidence, and they have no idea what was on Archive Shelf 17. What was on Archive Shelf 17, Section J? We don't know. Okay, if you don't know what it is, how can you just blindly disqualify a case situation? You can't. You can't. That's a major violation. We have a major articles violation ongoing. We have a state of emergency in elections. That's the truth, people. Now, I'm trying to activate an emergency panel situation. Looking at the size of the problem, the more assessment I do, we're going to need 30 to 40 people easy. Easy. It's not going to be a simple panel of 5 or 7 people. We need a lot more people, and I'm figuring on pulling a lot of people to put them on panels and boards that are actually some of the candidates running for office, because you can see they have some kind of dedication respected to certain issues. And they do have some skill sets, so why not basically sequester them into panels? So that's part of what I'm doing. I'll be honest about that. So I got some calls I got to catch up on. I'm looking at 9 phones. So with that, I'm going to let you go.